get to talk about your presentations. So before we formally start, I just thought I need to communicate with you all. एक तो ये जो मेरे पीछे बैठे हुए हैं, do you really have to sit there or you can come here also?
Come here, the vacant seats over.
Because I'm tempted to turn around and I have a pain in my neck here, so I can't do that. Otherwise I would have done that also. I started without your.
The session is Gender Issues and Media. The chairperson for the session is Professor Shameen Modi, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. The speakers for the session are Dr. Meera Desai, SNDT Women University, Mumbai, and Dr. Rashmi Jain, Vice President, Maharani College, Jaipur, Vice Principal, Maharani College, Jaipur. I request our esteemed guests to kindly take their seats. Thank you, ma'am. Professor Shameen Modi has been working as a faculty with the Tata Institute of Social Sciences in the Nodal Center of Excellence for Human Rights Education since 2009. She is the chairperson of Center for Law and Society. She started her work with the disadvantaged population by working for the rights of the people displaced by the Barge Dam at Jabalpur, Madhya Pradesh. She has been working for the right of the Adivasi population in Betul, Harda and Khandwa districts of Madhya Pradesh and is a founder member of the Shramik Adivasi Sangathan for the last 18 years. The Sangathan has been involved with empowering laborers working in pathetic conditions. She has also been the member of the working group on empowerment of scheduled tribe in the 11th five-year plan of central government. We are privileged to have Professor Modi amongst us. We welcome you, ma'am. The first speaker for the session is Dr. Meera Desai. She has been working as an Associate Professor, Department of Extension Education, SNDT Women's University since 2010. She was the jury member for the Ladli Media Awards for Gender Sensitivity, Eastern Region between 2010 and 11. She has received
Aarti's happy birthday. It was born in 1957. This is a radio channel, if the young girls do not know. I am not very sure that girls listen to radio these days, but this is my favorite. So today's technical session 3 is Gender Issues and Media. Media is thought to be having a major role in forming value systems, starting from oral traditions and narratives, to beginning of printing technology, to not so recent upsurge of audiovisuals, to current onslaught of social media and cyberspace. Media has affected, among other areas, the way human beings perceive gender. This technical session 3, on the second day of the National Conference, Social Transformation and Media Realities and Challenges, is trying to unravel the layers of the equation between media and gender issues. This session is attempting to assess whether media in reality plays a role in social transformation as far as gender issues are concerned, or do people continue to carry their gendered baggage irrespective of the ever-growing media tools. I welcome you all and we start this session.
Dr. Rashmi Jain, Associate Professor, Department of Sociology, University of Rajasthan, and the Vice Principal of Maharani College, Jaipur. Dr. Jain has travelled extensively all over India and abroad for her academic pursuits. She has wide experience in academics, having publications in a number of national and international journals. We welcome you, ma'am.
I'm not sure how many of you survived yesterday. As we all kind of are aware that yesterday I think 3-4 people referred to gender when they talked about other issues. And I kept sitting there and said, oh, I'm going to talk about this, and they are saying that, so I have very little left. But I assume that there's something new. First of all, thank you, Chanda, Nisha ji, Rakhi ji, and everybody else, Aarti and everybody else for kind of calling me in. It's a pleasure being here. Yesterday I was asking one of the students because your t-shirts have this thing called our world, your world. And I said, what does that mean? So that girl said, we are exclusive. So that's something that I'm going to talk about at some point, because my understanding is that it's my world and your world. Very little of our world is left actually, and that's why we keep doing these conferences and struggle to kind of make sense. I assume this works. That's what I told him. Okay. We all are aware that the billions of people, right? India is the second most populated country in the world. Since yesterday morning, everybody talked about social transformation. My concerns are, is it really happening, first of all? Or it's just kind of something that we all, it happens anyway. Like it happened to my grandmother and my mother and me. So is it a kind of a figment of our mind because we are growing old, or young people also feel that no, something is really changing? And then if you kind of assume, we talked about it yesterday saying that the pace is very fast and the technologies are too much. Two things that I feel are happening which is unique in the history of time, I suppose. Our private and public spheres are merging. We don't anymore talk about personal and public. Everything is one. So if I have a Facebook page and you keep seeing, I know Balavat sir because of Facebook. And then yesterday for the first time I went to his house in a physical world. So now he's a part of my virtual and physical together. So that's where that public, private and everything that goes on a public forum is obviously from a private space, because you don't talk about something that you don't know. So there is something that is happening which is kind of merging this. You lot of times hear people talking on mobile saying that something very personal and private. People are fighting on phone in kind of absolute public space. So that is a kind of a transformation that I suppose didn't happen earlier because of the kind of tool of mobile that we have. Is there something social about it? That's a kind of another debate, because we are all human beings, and as human beings we want to be social, we want to belong, we want to kind of connect with each other, and we want to be acknowledged and accepted. So that's the reason, like I started off by saying, oh, it's because of Chanda that I'm here. So there is some sociality of my being here. So that there is that social aspect of being self. And this constant question about, these are some of the questions, please understand. One of the things that I feel is that I'm into a work of ideas. And as teachers, I feel that my job is not to give you answers, but to give you more questions. Because the questions are going to create more questions. So that's the kind of process of education and learning and unlearning that we all need to kind of look at. Whose realities are we talking about? Like there is this photograph of a man who is wearing a shirt which is a 4 kilo gold. And there's the kind of complete news report about this man who has, for his 48th or 49th birthday, got this shirt made. And then we talk about all sorts of religious channels, all sorts of husband-loving wives and all sorts of victims of rape. When we say victims of rape, that by itself is a kind of a gendered connotation, because we don't, and then what do we say? No, we'll talk about survivors. That again is a kind of connotation, because then we as if look at her as a kind of somebody who survived. So that also is a kind of problematic personally, I feel. And then you have a kind of all sorts of, because one of the reasons I kept the girl with lot of gold on her body as a marriage, this is some very famous South Indian actress in her wedding dress. And then here is a man who is wearing a gold shirt. So there is nothing gendered about gold in that sense of the term, because irrespective of a man or a woman, we talk about gold as kind of the indicator. Are these realities? We all are familiar with these images. I suppose the only thing that all of us, I suppose, are aware of is Tom and Jerry. I don't think anybody in this room has not seen one Tom and Jerry. I'm sure that somebody would have. Actually, we are left with very little of a common things. If you have noticed that, and then I always debate this that in my classes, that it's very difficult to find one program that all of us know now, unlike earlier. So that commonness as a kind of a scope and forum is kind of disappearing. But we all are aware of all sorts of what I would say global spaces which represent and symbolizes through all these symbols. And there's a huge expansion of Indian media productions. Like Rajeshri production is homegrown. Like you have Shantarams, and there's a long history of Rajeshri. And then you have all sorts of groups, media groups, if I can say. Now they have tied up and they have become international organizations and they are multinational corporations. But there is a kind of a localness in those organizations. This presentation is going to be there on SlideShare, so if any of you are interested, you can go back and download it. I am not into numbers. I have a kind of lot of material on SlideShare and lot of it on Academia Edu. You can go back and look at that if you're interested. What I tried doing was this huge numbers. We had only 3,000 newspapers, and today we have about 93,000 newspapers and magazines. 3,000 to 93,000, just imagine 90,000 more in only 60 years. So these are kind of huge numbers that we are talking about. So when a lot of times we worry about how media will do all this, which I heard yesterday so many times, my concern is that we don't talk about the other media that is there. We don't realize that there's all sorts of other media that I'm going to talk about. And then you have a kind of huge expansion in terms of all media that we all are aware of. We all consume media. I suppose there's nobody in this room who would say, oh, I am not a media consumer. All of you consume media? Yes or no?
Yes,
yeah. So, and we all look here, see, believe, assume, and we have this tendency to agree. We say, this is what I believe in. Okay, but we all know that media can be individual, it can be group, and it can be mass. I suppose some of this I'm kind of doing retro because I want you to kind of be there when I'm talking about other things eventually. There's an audio media we all are aware of. Chanda ma'am said girls don't listen to radio, but I suppose FM Jaipur must be popular. And songs for sure would be popular. So, or if not songs, then you would download and hear some Western music or whatever. So it's not possible that you say, oh, I don't hear, I'm not interested. That doesn't happen. As we all know, something or the other. You might have a varied habits, but you have. We also talk about visual media. What is interesting is, if you see, we talk about commodification of women. Eventually, we talk about the way how bad media presents women. If you see the Khajurahos and you talk about all sorts of other paintings, I think women were commodified in centuries. It's not today. So let's kind of be a little careful when we say, oh, no. You see kind of all sorts of women bodies being kind of sculptured, and none of us look like that. That's a fact. But that's what it looked like. And then you have a lot of print, which is also into the visual category. And then you have an audio-visual media, which I suppose we all are aware of. And then you have something called out of house, which is kind of huge today because a lot more number of people are more mobile today than in the history of time. So you have a kind of upsurge of lot of out of house media. You have theatre and you have all forms of media that. Why I'm kind of spending this 2 minutes more is because I wanted to understand that there's nothing like one media. Okay, there are all sorts of media that we all are kind of consuming. So when we talk about gender in media, there is a kind of lot of space in some other media, if not in another media. So that's the kind of context that you need to keep in mind. Also, when we and then you have a new media, as you all are aware of, you have an internet, and then we always believe that internet is free, but the fact is that in a human history, internet is the most controlled medium, unlike any other medium. So that's kind of another thing that I'll just leave you with. Just go back and look at it. How free is internet in that sense? We have all sorts of mass media that we are aware of. We have all sorts of other media, if I use the word other media. And then we have a kind of allied sectors. I call them allied sectors because they contribute to media. So advertising is kind of huge, which actually at some point is trying to drive our lives. And then you have kind of all sorts of beauty and makeup and all sorts of other things that we all are kind of consuming. Why you would start using deos and why you would start using mascaras, because media told you to do that. And as we all know, beauty is the third largest industry in the world after defense and after pharmaceutical. And please understand that the idea of selling Miss World and Miss Universe to a country like ours is to kind of promote the markets. They are not saying Indian women are beautiful. Don't buy that. That's a kind of a gimmick. Okay, so that's a kind of another dimension that you have to look at. The whole business of fitness. Somebody told me last week that the yoga mats and yoga clothing is becoming a huge market. So it's some X billion rupees market. So you will only buy it once. You will never do yoga, but you will buy it. So that's the kind of an idea when media intersects with fitness and with food and with all sorts of other sectors. So this is what is happening today, which is something interesting because that's the kind of a dimension that is impacting us as a society. We also have to understand that there's something called mainstream media. We call it MSM at some point in a media studies. Some of you are media students. So you should realize and recognize that when we talk about mainstream media, we're talking about a commercial, privatized media. What it is doing is it is trying to push us this whole kind of a lifestyle which is consumeristic, which is more of physical, biological, if I can use that word, because then what you talk about is having a certain kind of breast and certain kind of lips and certain kind of nose, and you always can reconstruct yourself. That God made you, there is some purpose by which it has made you, but then we know that you have Shilpa Shetty's and Priyanka Chopra's who are made like that. So there is that, but then there are poor things that in that business, so they do that. But when you start doing it as a kind of normal person, then you are getting into a kind of, you're buying what media sold you. So that's the dimension that you have to look at. Also, the fact is that media promotes the present. They say you live only once. A lot of young students and young kids buy that argument that there's nothing like past and there's nothing like future. That's a kind of little problematic because that's an American connotation of individualism, wherein as a culture we are a collectivist society and we believe in past and we believe in punyas and we believe in next birth and we believe in all sorts of things. So there's a lot of cultural conflicts and amalgamation that we are getting into as a society. We also have to recognize, as far as media is concerned, that I'm talking about media and then I'll talk about gender and then I'll link both of them. That's a kind of a course. I have been very seriously told 15 minutes, I suppose. Yeah, but we started at 10:08, so I'll get, or you can just do the buzzer if you think I need to kind of close down.
You have another 5 minutes.
Okay. So we talk about media ownerships, we talk about distribution of media, and we talk about consumption of media. That's a kind of a context that we need to recognize when we talk about any media devices. Briefly, just to talk about gender, we need to recognize that when we talk about gender, we are not talking about only media. We are also talking about families, state, we're talking about religion, caste, and also the market. And market and media aligns very strongly with each other. So it tells you about how women should be, what men should be. And yesterday, Madam Sociologist Professor was saying about transgender. It's not a one category. There is a kind of lot of far more complexities there because we now talk about LGBTQ. But then ma'am had consolidated all of them into one. So that's a kind of another, which we label now broadly as a third gender because we talk about men, women and third gender. And what do they define? They define how women should be, how men should be, what third gender is and what is the valuation. We say, oh, women who work in the house, they don't do any work. So that's a kind of problematic at some point. How do we define gender? We define people by all this. So we don't look at people as people. We don't look at a human being as human being, but we look at a human being with, oh, you have a qualification, oh, you have this age, oh, you have your mother and you're not mother. So you continuously kind of define a person by whatever that person is in that sense of the term. When we talk about, and one of the reasons why I'm using gender vis-a-vis women is because today we don't have third gender in media so much. You still have English press talks about third gender a little bit, but regional press refuses the fact that there is somebody called third gender. And also at some point the debate is that it's a very urban phenomena, but then I don't know, one need to kind of question that because there are a lot of people who believe and feel like somebody else. So I may be born woman but I feel like a man. What do I do about that? But that's a kind of a reality of experience. So there is that dimension that is there. What I'm trying to say is that you can't look at only women being presented in media. You also have to look at a lot of other aspects of women in terms of women technicians, women performers. We know a lot of women are there in front of screen with a lot of clothes or no clothes. So that's a kind of a commodification of a body. But today men are not exempted. Men also are being commodified. You see bare chest men in kind of, we have a local paper called Midday in Mumbai. And they start printing now men with less clothes. Or you know Salman Khan as a kind of classic example of how you can talk about body as a body. So the fundamental problem is that we want to talk about body and we don't want to talk about soul and we don't want to talk about mind and we don't want to talk about feelings. So that's a kind of problem area that one has to look at. Okay, I'm going to leave then my presentation because, okay, then we talk about women as news subjects. I suppose yesterday also somebody referred about Indrani case. None of us talked about, no media house talked about Mitra Mutreja. They all talked about Indrani and they ridiculed her and they did all sorts of things with her. That's a kind, I'm not saying they should not have, but what I'm saying is what about him? Because he also married it for third or second time. But you only talk about women because she is a kind of a subject, an object. You talk about women presenters. Lot of people talk about women as audiences. They say, हाँ औरतें soap opera देखती रहती हैं. stuff. So there is that kind of a consumption about women doing stupid thing like consuming. And then you have load of women technicians. I don't know how many of you know that there's something called women camera persons, but we always talk about cameramen. We always talk about chairmen. So that's a kind of another dimension in terms of linguistically, we don't recognize that. You have load of women communicators, like you have a novelist and you have all sorts of women who have been into communication. Your media doesn't talk about women communicators. You have kind of a commodification only in terms of some of them. So you have one dancer being promoted, one artist being promoted. Yesterday somebody did a very interesting presentation. You don't talk about women artists, you all know about M.F. Hussain, but you don't know about somebody else. So that's a kind of another selectivity that media does in terms of talking about. I'll skip this. This is something that we see a lot of times. All the women are being presented most often is being very passive, very domesticated, very submissive, delicate, pretty and cute. Wherein men are always presented as, which is not a real, as we all know, we all have kind of fathers, brothers, husbands. Poor fellows want to cry but they can't cry because you will say, "Arey, rote kyun?" So ye jo aspect hai of kind of masculining men is another aspect that is kind of pretty critical. And then there is a kind of behavioral expectation. Like yesterday we had a debate about why should girls come and serve? Because you can put a food in the middle and people will take the food. But then there is a socialization and domestication of women's work by saying that औरतें सर्व करती हैं, वो बहुत सुंदर है, घर का खाना अच्छा होता है. So ये जो पूरा aspect है वो थोड़ा है issue. You have all these women who come on television and then you all of them in real life, they are very different as you and I know. Okay, one of the reason being that media likes to show them as, we all know what they did with Smriti Irani. I have nothing for or against her, but the fact is, did you try to do that with Narendra Modi? Why not? They'll do it in next 1 year, I'll tell you that, when he will stop feeding money to the media. Okay, right now he's feeding huge amount of money to him. So, and he is the probably first Prime Minister in the country who have accepted that there's something called news brokers. Okay, no other Prime Minister, I suppose, in the history of time has said that media can be bought. So here is a kind of a shift at some point in that sense. Yesterday somebody was referring about it. What bothers me most is that media creates definition of normal. So the moment you say family, you will always think about a husband, wife and a child, and probably 2 or 1. So that's a kind of problematic, because why is it like that? Why I have an extended family. We did a workshop with the street children, and our students who come from a kind of a very urban Mumbai had no experience of dealing with girls who were living on streets. And we did a small exercise of what is your family? And then you realize that there were kind of 50,000 definitions of family. So that definition of family as a normal family is also problematic, but media always shows you a selective definition. That's kind of another area. There are 3 things that media does. I'll quickly run off. It talks about definitions of gender. So it says what men and women should be. And then it does a kind of a realities. You never talk about father-in-law and son fights. You will not talk, like, you never talk about, you will not talk about women friendships. You never talk about wives' right on husbands. We always talk about husbands' rights on wife. That's kind of the problem area. And then also the children. Children, recently, there is this one ad that says, साफ पानी माँ की जिम्मेदारी. अरे अभी हम लोग 21st century में है, पानी नल में आता है, माँ उठा के नहीं लाती है मटके में. पर वो तो भी हेमा मालिनी बेचती है वो. कि साफ पानी माँ की जिम्मेदारी. And then you have माँ की हाथ की धुलाई, सर्फ एक्सेल. What nonsense? क्या किस जमाने की बात कर रहे हैं हम लोग? But ये है. It also perpetuates the existence that you are dying for a man's attention. Women are kind of desperate. When women say no, it is yes. That's another area. Nobody agrees to that, but that's a fact. And then women has to marry, and her first priority has to be home. That's a kind of a dimension. Media does a lot of things. I'll leave this. It's not only a product, we all know. I'll just leave this, but there's a project called Gender Media Monitoring Project. It's a kind of huge project. Yesterday, Mr. Rahul was talking about news media and talked about how news media represents women. That is something that GMMP researches, and for last 20 years they have done it. They have done 4 GMMPs. It's a global project. You can go back on those websites and kind of read. What is very interesting is, it talks about, I'll leave this, it talks about how far women are there in news media. And it says only 25% of news media space is given to women. Now we know that, and it's been last 20 years. So sorry, I'll leave this. If you see the last one, when they did it for the first time in 1995, there were 17% women in news media. Today it has become 25%. So only 8% increase in 20 years. So women are not still being seen in media. That's a fact. And I'm talking about not about any media. I'm talking about news media, because news media supposedly is to be the accurate representation of a reality. We were part of GMMP in 2010. It's a voluntary project. Anybody can become part. Your college can next year, next cycle can become members and do the work. It's all online. It's all free. It's all voluntary. And it's very interesting, because then we tried comparing, and you see very interesting differences in terms of the way gender is represented in media across space. I'm talking about, because when we talk about global India and even Mumbai, there was a difference. So probably Jaipur will be different. That's the kind of another issue. We have this, I personally feel we have these challenges, because we talk about in our seminar, talk about challenges. The challenges are to represent women as human beings. I was kind of first one to, 4 or 5 years back, my university started a course called Women's Rights as Human Rights. And I was the first one to fight, saying, what, women's right is human right? Women are human beings, so why do you have to talk about human rights? And then I realized it. A very interesting example is, I'll leave this.
No, you just wind it.
Thank you very much. No, I understand.
I'm so sorry, but
What's the problem with being teacher?
showing it to her, because I really was feeling very.
No, when I started off, I said I'll finish in 15 minutes, but
No point. What we can do is, we can see to it that next time we have, because it's a very unpleasant. When they said you be the chairperson, I said okay, but now I know it is the toughest job here, to sit here and sit and listen to interesting presentations and ask them to, stop when we are just wanting to listen more. So anyway, thank you very much, Meera, for responding to this pink bell. And I would now request Dr. Rashmi Jain, and you have 15 minutes, ma'am. Thank you.
you can try to say that.
I will show the bell, I will not ring.
I don't think you'll have the actually I took a wrong turn, and I'm not used to coming to this Mansarovar side, and I always forget ICG. Though I come very often here, but I always forget, so I'm sorry for that, and kindly excuse me. Now I have a very small presentation, because I was supposed to come for a different session, but because I'm leaving for Delhi today, so I had to request Nisha to adjust me somewhere else or let me go. So she said, no, I'll not let you go, you come here. So I have a very brief presentation, and I'm talking about, much of my work is made easier by Dr. Meera, because she's already talked of many of the things which we are supposed to talk about in gender and media. So I'm just going to go to some reflections on portrayal of women in media. Images and media, because I don't have to do the basic rounding, because that has been said, the tone has been said. So if you look at forms of media, as already been told to you, then media communicates. It communicates images, it even communicates lines, words, etc. So all the channels which the media uses communicate, and they communicate some kind of idea, some kind of story, some kind of image. So some of which, as already told to you, are unrealistic, and especially when it comes to women. Because many a times women are shown as some things which we cannot identify with. Yet it is a paradox that when we cannot identify with those emotions, with those presentation of women, yet all of us aspire to be like that. Whether it is Sushmita Sen, Miss India or anything, all of us, who is a consumer? Ma'am had referred to consumerism, and that, but then this is a very sorry state of affairs, that as intellectual human beings, as we, in quotes we call ourselves, yet we are consuming the same kind of media which is being presented and whatever is being presented. Why does it happen that if we are so vocal about it and we feel that media is not representing women in a very good manner or in a positive manner, it is in an unrealistic manner, why is it that it is the maximum consumption of media is by women only? This is something which needs to be investigated more, that why it happens that we are looking at, if you look at all the soaps on the television, you will find all the soaps are women dominated. You will have women characters, they may be all types of characters, there will be scheming also, there will be so good women that you will find it that are we that sugar coated in this 21st century? So how we are always looking at unrealistic images, stereotype, and which also limit our perception. My perception would be, if it's a working woman, what is my perception? She has to be wearing Western clothes, she has to have a briefcase in her hand or a laptop and going. This is the kind of perception which the media is selling. They don't want to sell a lady going, a woman going to the office in sari, a sari clad woman. You will not see. If she is going, then she is a teacher. So that is one image which will come to you. So three things which are important are that women, I have used this first as little controversial, that women are underrepresented, which falsely implies that men are cultural standards. And now I'll take the cue from Dr. Meera's presentation when she says, she shares that statistics by the media survey. Though when we look at the media, especially I'm focusing more on visual media, you look at media and you will find that it is the women which dominate. You look at the soap operas, women are there. You look at the news channels, women are there because women act as the presenter. Now why are they there? Maybe they are just there to be the beautiful image, to show that, but then they are there. So the common perception would be that women are there. But when you do conduct studies, you realize women are not there. Women are only there when it suits the agencies to show glamour, to put women on the forefront, to just do that, not in the newsroom as already presented. So women are underrepresented. They should have been more, because if you want to change the relationship between gender and media, it is necessary that more and more women enter into it, and then media policy can change. So portrayal of men and women in stereotype fashion. Of course, like already told, that there are certain attributes of men and certain attributes, masculinity and femininity are there. So we still find that even in 21st century, when so many issues have changed, yet we find that people are representing this only. Depictions of relationship between men and women emphasize traditional roles. Still we see in advertisements or in visual media that women will be shown as housewives, they will be shown as homemakers. Even if she is a working woman, she is expected to give food on time to the children. Her responsibility of like clean water, the rest with the mother, and the other roles. Women often suffered from a very narrow representation in media. They are often linked to domestic space, shown as housewives or mothers, young, slim, fair, symbol of ideal beauty, sex objects. This is what women have been symbolized into the media. If you look at some of the advertisements, news made exciting. This is an advertisement of Deccan Chronicle, which is a newspaper, and look at what it says. News made exciting and a figure of a lady. Your guide to everything sexy. Wheat, again, a woman is advertising. Again, it shows an image which is not, if you are not using this product, then you are not beautiful. The ad for cigarette. Then there's this is no shape for a girl, a pear shape. Now pear shape, there are 2-3 body shapes, and which are genetically, which are, you can't do anything to do it, you're born with it. Yet if you put this kind of advertisement that there is no shape as pear, this is no shape for a girl, that means pear-shaped women are not, good things to look at. A man looks powerful when shaved, Neha agrees. Now what are they trying to sell here? So if you look at the images, we often look at all the advertisements. Every day we read newspapers, every day we read magazines, we see television, and many of these ads pass, but we never give that kind of gaze to them to even think what they are trying to sell. You look at Aishwarya Rai, fairness, selling fairness. Now, fairness is a big market. I have a slide on Fair and Lovely also. When there's a change in the kind of advertisement which they are putting in. So you're shackled, beaten and abused. Look at, this is an ad which is on the left hand corner, which talks about life insurance policy, and it only shows women. Why? Do only women need life insurance? Or do only men need life insurance so as to look after their wives or the mothers, etc.? So this is an ad. Why? These are, I would call them sexist ads. Why only women need life insurance policies? Preeti, Again, she's selling all domestic appliances, and women are, because women, the domestic space or the kitchen is women's hearth, so they sell. Now, if you look at these two ads, and these were actually clips, and I did not know whether I'll be able to transfer into video or not. Now, there is a minute, I'll show you the next. Fair and Lovely ad. It focused on advertising on problems of a dark skin. We all know that Fair and Lovely promotes whitening cream, and it says that if you, because a dark girl cannot get an ideal partner, she cannot get a good partner, so she should start using Fair and Lovely, and she becomes fair, and they show a transformation from a dark skin to a light skin, and then she gets a boy and she is happily married. That is the end of the story. Now, with time, this thing has changed. Now the ad, the same ad, the Fair and Lovely has started saying, it now shows lighter skin conferring a different advantage, helping a woman to land a job. You might have seen that ad which says that I want to work, and then suddenly her skin is light and she gets a job of anchoring a cricket show. So, I mean, what kind of images are we selling to people? What kind of image, and who is consuming? The market is of course women only. But this market is there for women, but then what happens is, now I would come to the point of socialization. It's a cultural debacle that the Asian countries want white skin. Maybe it has something to do with supremacy, the colonizing effect. I'm not too sure, but we see that we want lighter skin. When a daughter is born, the first thing is, ladki ho gayi, gori hai. As if by being Gora, her life is set for always. If she's dark, she will not make a mark in life. It's something like this. And this happens to most of us, even people who are educated also. So somewhere it is ingrained in our psyche. So that needs to be corrected. We need to work on it, and as women ourselves, as mothers, as wives, we need to work on it more often than others. There was an ad on Axe. You may have seen that ad. It turns nice when girls turn naughty. And there is there are subsequent ads. And there was a lot of hue and cry with this Axe ad. I didn't get the other one, which shows that when an Axe bottle comes out, women just make a bee for that man. Now, what kind? Are we only there as sex objects? That suddenly you put a perfume and then the women are attracted so much? What kind of visual images? There was a lot of hue and cry on this ad. And it became famous for it being very super sexist images. And 23 complaints about depiction of women were launched in the Advertisement Standard Council, and of which 10 cases were found, because most of the time they get away with all these things also. Now, television, which is the most pervasive and very important medium, still continues to show women in stereotype roles. You look at women in TV serials, always involved in some conspiracy or the other. The mother is conspiring against the daughter-in-law, or the sister is conniving. So we are shown as very conniving people, always fighting. Even if you're working, you're making some kind of connivance in conspiracy, even at the workplace. So women are shown in that manner. They're very scheming women. They have premarital relations, post-marital relations. Some of the serials even show women getting married 3, 4, 5 times. And one to the first husband, and then to the husband's brother, and then sometimes to the father. And what is this? Is this the kind of society we are living in? I'm not sure. None of you can say कि ऐसा हमने actual life में होते हुए देखा है. But again, women are the biggest consumers of these kind of soap operas also. So it's quite a paradox. We always, ma'am had showed a lady with so much of jewelry, gold on it. So we are shown costly, heavy, golden, diamond jewelry, a lot of makeup. Even if I'm going to the kitchen, I'm heavily made up. What kind do we ever, apart from the film stars, I doubt any of us put so much of makeup on us and go. So what kind of images are we showing? And when these images are transformed, not only locally or nationally, but globally, this kind of image of Indian women, goes there also, that Indian women are these kind, because the media is a kind of a face. It shows the face to the other people. Then spending time in family feuds, societal love affairs, mega parties, every day there's a party. I don't know how they can afford to do the parties, etc. So little caring. A recent UNESCO report, talks about that the common images of women in media are either she's a glamorous sex kitten, or she's a very sainted mother, the devious witch, the hard-faced corporate and political climber. You cannot be a good person in any of these things. You are always portrayed in one of the attributes is much higher than the other. So you're not a human being. You are both. It says that if you continue at the current rate of progress of stereotyping women, then we will, it is. I don't think for another 75. That is what the report claims, that you will be able to reach gender equality in the media. These are some of the stereotypes have been shared, that women's places at home, and when physical beauty is the most important. Energy and intellect must be directed towards finding the right. These are the images which are shown in the media. The good woman is a traditional housewife who's always suffering, pious, submissive, doing everything for the husband or the father and mother. Women are women's worst enemies. So working woman is undesirable exception who must be brought to the marriage fold and must conform. If she's a working woman and not married, the whole, कहते हैं ना, कायनात इस बात में जुड़ जाती है कि उसकी शादी करनी है. किसी that as if ultimate aim in our life is only to get married. So it shows that the more television children watch, the more likely they are to hold sexist notions about traditional roles. Then these images shape the notions children have. My concern is not a present, my concern is a future. What kind of media are we? Because today we are a very media savvy society. The children have access to media not only on televisions. You can limit the television viewing time, but you cannot limit the viewing on their mobiles. So we are a very media savvy society. So what is going to happen in the future? These are some of the questions which I'll just pick. I think this is again a report of a committee which also talks about that how women are portrayed in the media. So it's always that you look at ads, everywhere you see showing women in very gender defined or feminine roles only. So I think these are some of the questions which I put before the House. Thank you.
We are on time. We have some papers, but before that I will just add 2-3 things that have been on my mind. What is most important today for you all as students and for everybody around here is to critically evaluate whatever you see, whatever you hear, whether media or not in media. That critical role is very important. We have stopped critically analyzing things that come our way. For example, we talk of so many things around us in relation to women, but I watch I don't see much of the ads. Even if I watch television, as soon as there's an ad, I shift to another channel. So now I don't know. But there is one ad which really particularly disturbs me. And that ad is that this lady gets up in the morning and the father, the man of the house says, I want something. The child says something else, and then the mother-in-law says something.
That's an MTR ad.
No. The MTR, I'll come to it. Everybody says that you do something, she's doing it, and then when she's finally doing the last job, she bends and she has pain in her back. Kamar mein dard, move lagaiye, kaam pe chaliye. Means the whole message that is given is that you are working for everybody in the house. You are the woman who's cooking, who's taking care of the children, and who's taking care of the husband and the in-laws. मगर अगर काम ज़्यादा हो रहा है तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. हम दूसरे किसी को काम करने के लिए बोले आपके लिए मुंह बनाया है, मुंह लगाइए, काम पे चलिए. This is something that really disturbs. Can anybody write about this and say that why do you make such ads and why do we see it? Why can't we just respond to it and say, damn it, we want something which tells the other people, why don't you do your own work? This lady is, फिर ये क्या है, whatever you said. वो बोल रहा है मुझे सुबह क्या चाहिए नाश्ते में, किसी को इडली चाहिए, किसी को उत्तपम चाहिए, डोसा चाहिए, तो never mind. This lady is a perfect lady. वो MDR लीजिए और सबको दीजिए. She has so many hands and she's giving it to everybody. It is not only for the stereotypic image of women, it also makes the woman who looks at it feel guilty about it. I feel guilty that bloody I just put bread and butter and just खाना है तो खाओ, नहीं तो कैंटीन में खा लेना. I'm not a good mother. My son also feels कि ये क्यों नहीं लाते आप? सबको बना के दो, छोड़ के चले आते हो. We have to do something. So it is a very subtle way in which we put into people's mind. And the worst part is instead of fighting, we are fighting with ourselves because I feel guilty. I have done activism all my life, but end product has always been guilt. Because if I am in the village fighting, I am in the prison, I feel my son, you know, मेरी जिम्मेदारी है, मैं उसको नहीं करके दे रही हूँ. If I am with my son, then of course I feel guilty because I am not with my people. But the point remains is that we are always feeling guilty about not doing something what the media tells us, and we don't critically look at these things and say that, damn it, this affects my psychology. And the biggest socializing agent is this media. My son also, how much time does he spend with me? I may do whatever with him, but he looks at those ads and he feels that this is what my mother should also be. Or a mother who looks so young because she put some fairness cream, and somebody thinks that, you know, there's an ad which says कि अरे मम्मी करके बुलाते, is that she's a mother. So your son says that आप nail polish नहीं लगाती, आप slipper पहन के घूमती हैं and all that, and the child feels that don't come to my parents teacher meeting in this way. You come in well groomed. These are some things which really, you know, we think it is something to, we feel, we laugh about it because we are also somewhere a party to it. You know, we are party to it, and we don't question it. We have to come out aggressively. That is what is required. हमको अपना गुस्सा दिखाना पड़ेगा. जब तक दिखाएंगे नहीं, people will not understand what it means. So I think whenever we talk of media, we have a lot of images that come about. We also have to talk beyond that. What do we do about it? Okay, this is all there, but can we start? I mean, I was just sharing it with her. Something about it. I use media and I use movies as a big, for teaching. My main pedagogy is even to use audiovisual media. And that movie which has come about, Abhi Dam Laga Ke Aisha. I don't know how many of you have seen it. How many of you have seen that movie? Most of them have seen it. What is that movie about? I like that movie. I saw it because I want.
It's like the girl, she was healthy.
Yeah. It comes out of that bodily image of being zero size, slim and beautiful women are women to be valued. If you are fat, then you have nothing else that people can like in you. It goes beyond that. So I feel even that body image, and we talk of women in menopause feeling so bad and all, because every time I have been told that if I am not slim, if I am not attractive, if I don't have long hair, if I don't have fair skin, then there's nothing in me to be valued. So I feel this, and it is there in all of us. In somewhere it is there, because that's why इनका दुकान इसलिए चल रहा है क्योंकि हमारे में insecurity आ रही है that people will not like me if I'm not like that. So I think the point is critical, to be critical about it and to move ahead and to express whatever I do not like. That is something very important for us as women also. When we are sitting in the drawing room, I always react, and whenever some ad comes, my son says, "अभी माँ बोलेगी, अपना lecture देगी, आधे घंटे तक वो उठ के चला जाता है." But I make it a point to say, I will not keep it. Okay, you feel I am cynical, हम सनकी हो गए, बूढ़े हो रहे हैं, whatever. But these are the things which will somewhere tell people that we are not liking it. I may laugh about it, but I am not liking it, and I want to put my foot down. Okay, sorry I took this time, and I will start with the presentations. I would request students and people who are presenting is, have it in your mind. Have you ever given bites to the media? Yeah, maybe. वैसा ही है ना. So you come and media में आपको पूछना पड़ता है कितना मिनट बोलना है, वो बोलेंगे 2 मिनट. तो 2 मिनट में जो जरूरी है वो पहले बोल दो, नहीं तो फिर एडिट हो जाता है. तो जो सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट होता है वो एडिट हो जाता है बाद में. So keep a short summary of what you want to say from the beginning till the end, concluding it. फिर टाइम रहेगा तो elaborate करना, because it sometimes it happens that you have to just stop in the middle without concluding. So we'll start. I want to know how many people are here. Mukta is here. Yes. Shruti.
Yes, ma'am.
Varsha. Varsha is not there. Abhishika Sharma.
She's here.
She's here. Okay. Then Priya Sharma. Preksha.
Yes, ma'am.
Seema. Richa Sharma.
Yes, ma'am.
Akriti is not there from Jim. Akriti is here? Akriti is not here. Then Prakriti and Tripti. Okay, so all of you are there. Fine. So, who is that? Shrishti is not here. I'll have to write. Shrishti Joshi. Okay, so we have so many, and we have almost half an hour. 11:30 करना है ना खत्म.
40 minutes.
अभी कितना बज रहा है? Acha, okay. So now we'll start. We'll give each one of you 5 minutes. Maximum extended to 7. We start with Mugdha.
I would like to thank the organizers for this opportunity. Now, this topic is really close to my heart, so I have a lot to say, but I'm going to keep it a little short and just summarize everything. The title of my paper is The Strong Man and the Emotional Woman. It's an analysis of gender stereotypes in advertisements. Now, this issue of gender stereotypes has already been touched upon by ma'am. And so I would just like to begin with a saying by Lucretia Mott in the 1800s. She said that the world has never yet seen a truly great and virtuous nation because of the degradation of women. The very fountains of life are poisoned at their source. This statement, which was made in the 1800s, still holds good today. Discrimination, we all know that it is there in the society, whether it be developed nations, underdeveloped nations, or developing nations. And gender stereotype is one sort of discrimination which is common to all. Now, both men and women have been breaking this type of stereotype, but society refuses to accept change. We are all aware of the realities, but media just reinforces this stereotype and thus it fuels discrimination. Now, human beings make sense of this world by categorizing the world. So we have living things and non-living things, we have vegetarians, non-vegetarians, similarly we have men, women and transgender. And gender stereotype is just one way of categorizing the world. Certain specific roles are assigned to people, to specific sexes. For example, like we've already talked about the gender stereotypes, like women are represented more in the domestic front, men are shown to be career oriented, they have strength, physical, emotional strength. These are some of the universal roles which are assigned to both sexes in all types of society, whether it be hunting and food gathering societies or any other kind of society. So I won't go into details of this. Okay. Now the impact of this stereotype. There are many issues like female feticide, honor killing, rape, domestic violence, which we all discuss. But nobody ever discusses the underlying cause, underlying root, which is patriarchy, which is so deeply embedded in our Indian society. We teach patriarchy to children ever since they are born. And whenever a person is born, the first thing you ask is it a girl, is it a boy? Who does he look like? Is he fair? What about his nose? How are the features? These are the kind of things which we talk about. Also, in children, a lot of research has shown that girls are less educated or they receive no education, and the reason for this is that they are required for household work or there is no money. If the parents are poor, preference is given to give better food or better education to the boy rather than to the girl. So this type sort of a discrimination results in what is known as socialization of violence, because we embed patriarchy in the children itself at such a tender age. These are the effects of discrimination of patriarchy, and these are just fueled through gender stereotypes shown in media. Media has a huge influence on people. It can touch the lives of millions of people, which is why such gender discrimination comes up. Now, about media, according to the UN, the last line is by the UN, it was stated in the platform for action in Beijing, wherein they said that lack of gender sensitivity is evidenced by the failure to eliminate gender-based stereotyping found in public and private, local, national and international media organizations. So this is a well-known and well-accepted fact that gender stereotype is present. It is shown in media. These are certain instances of subtle gender stereotype. First, mothers are shown in the family. They are shown as more connected to their daughters. Fathers are shown as physically distant from the kids. They are responsible, they are the breadwinners of the family. Another is functional ranking, where men are primarily depicted in executive roles with higher social status. I would like to cite an advertisement here for Whirlpool. It was a 1990s advertisement where a party was being hosted by a couple, and the party, they run out of ice. So the husband goes to the wife and says कि boss आ रहे हैं and ice खत्म हो गई. So that's it. That is where the role of the husband ends. Now the entire ad concentrated on how the wife, in order to please her husband's boss, quickly makes ice using the Whirlpool refrigerator. So even in this situation, it was the career, it was the job of the man which had been given importance and not of the woman. The woman was just responsible for pleasing the husband and his boss. Relative size, men are usually depicted as taller, larger and stronger. Now this kind of stereotype affects both men and women. Women are shown to be physically weaker and men, in reality, not all men are that tall or large or strong. So this again, it creates a stereotype. The feminine touch. Women are depicted as caressing things and appreciating the feeling of gentleness. And the last point, portrayal of women lying on floors and beds. Here I would like to cite a lot of condom ads. Condoms are gender neutral substances. And everybody, I mean, you can't have just a woman using a condom or just a man using a condom, it's of no use. So, being a gender neutral substance, but only women are portrayed. Now, there has been some change in portrayal, although it is a very, very insignificant change. In 3 decades, hardly 10% change is seen in portrayal of women in traditional roles. Okay, certain ads, for example, the Harpic ads where a man, Hussein, or in some cases Vishal, he comes and he goes to house and house explaining how Harpic is the smart choice for women. Now here, although they've used a man, but every household that he goes into is run by the woman. The woman is in charge of cleaning the toilets of the family. There is no other man in the entire commercial, and the reason for using a male to give advice to women itself shows gender stereotype, because a man is considered to be a person of trust and a person of authority over a woman. Also, I would like to state the government ad. These are all private, fine, but what about the government? A government ad which is very often shown in public, in theatres on smoking. It shows a man who comes home from work and he is smoking. He sits with his daughter, watches TV, and then he quits smoking because of the daughter. The mother is not shown in the ad at all. But we can see that there is a woman, the mother is standing in the background, she is wearing a sari and she is making rotis. That's all her job is, she's standing there and making rotis while the man after work comes and smokes and watches TV. As sexual objects, ads commercials which ma'am has spoken about, so I won't go into that. Another thing, okay, this objectification of women in Kellogg's ads. The Special K ad, Special K Kellogg's, we have seen Lara Datta in the ad, there's Deepika Padukone in the ad, where they talk about how they need to lose weight for a wedding, and the entire commercial is focused on that. Now the same brand, Kellogg's Muesli, on their box, they have written, it's a gender neutral product, but they've written that this is suitable for men after their successful endeavors at work, because they work so hard and are career oriented, so they need a luxurious meal after their work. Because, well, of course, we all know that all men are such career oriented species. And then we have Himalaya face wash. One ad shows a teenager who gets her first pimple, so she is distraught. She goes to her elder sister for advice, and as soon as her pimple goes away on using the product, she emerges confident and tension-free, and all problems of life are solved. The same ad, same Himalaya face wash ad, when they show a man, they show that he is sitting for college placements and he does not get job because of his oily skin. So he uses the face wash and instantly he gets a job. And then the last line is the man sitting in an office and he says, "Abhi to bahut aage jana hai." So this is the difference in the same brand. Okay, as a marketing strategy, I will just conclude this by saying that in the marketing strategy itself, we can see patriarchy where feminine athletes are given more preference as spokespersons instead of other athletes. There are a number of recommendations made by the UN. I won't go into those. One last thing that I would like to talk about are the legal provisions with respect to this. And there are no legal provisions. There are very vague, scattered provisions in the IPC which talk about outraging the modesty of a woman. So the need of the hour would be to make certain guidelines, certain media watch groups for the same. I would like to conclude by the saying of Antonio Gramsci, an Italian Marxist thinker who gave the concept of cultural hegemony. He said that cultural hegemony is created by institutions such as church, media, and he stressed upon media. Lastly, I would just like to say that advertisements have the power to turn us into obsessed consumers, and they have a huge impact on lives of people. Only policies, guidelines are not sufficient. We need to address the underlying patriarchy, and that can only be done through education, through awareness. And education, I don't mean just school or college education, but education of humanity, of equality, and by fostering respect for each and every sex. Thank you.